This is the segment of the program I like to call the feel-good stuff. I think it started with the very first episode where I was telling you about a post on Instagram called Daily Quarantine Questions. It was posted by Brooke Anderson of the Greater Good Science Center at UC Berkeley. And it's simply 6 questions to ask yourself every day of this coronavirus pandemic where you're especially sheltered in place. Questions like, what beauty am I either creating, cultivating, or inviting in today? How am I moving my body today? How am I getting outside today? What expectations of normal am I letting go of today? Who am I checking in on or connecting with today? But the number one question to ask yourself while you're sheltered in place, while this pandemic is going on, according to Brooke Anderson, the number one question is, what am I grateful for today? Gratitude. What an interesting concept. Now, it may not make sense to you right off the bat about why is that so important? Well, the Wall Street Journal had an article about gratitude back on May 4th called A Surprising Way to Stay Resilient. Reminding yourself what you're grateful for can boost your mental health and help you cope with coronavirus stress. The Wall Street Journal's Elizabeth Bernstein wrote this article, and she calls gratitude a very important strategy, especially now. Reminding ourselves what we're grateful for is one of the most powerful ways we can boost what mental health experts call the psychological immune system. A strong psychological immune system keeps us mentally resilient. And of course, many things we do to strengthen our physical immune system also support us mentally. Eating a healthy diet, getting good exercise regularly, getting enough sleep, or finding time for pleasurable activities in our day, like gardening, for example. But right now, as we're battered with coronavirus stress, it's important we all try to actively strengthen it. One of the people she interviewed for the article, Jacqueline Sperling, who's a psychologist and director of training and research at the McLean Anxiety Mastery Program in Cambridge, Massachusetts, says our psychological immune system is like a cell phone battery. We drain it more quickly in a crisis because we use it more. So it's important to continue to recharge it. And to boost it, we need to take active steps to regulate our emotions. Experts recommend focusing on what you can control. Acknowledge that life is tough right now, and don't beat yourself up for feeling bad. Research shows that gratitude is a huge psychological booster. Studies show that people who practice being grateful report significantly higher levels of happiness, more psychological well-being than those who don't. They're less depressed, they have fewer and shorter episodes of depression, and they have lower levels of stress hormones as well as reduced cellular aging. They sleep better, they have more success at work, and they have better relationships. The best way to start practicing gratitude is to keep a journal to identify things in your life for which you are grateful each day. Robert Emmons said that. He's a professor of psychology at the University of California, Davis. He is actually a leading researcher on gratitude. He refers to them as gifts, which will underscore their importance as something positive. Emmons also wrote the book, The Little Book of Gratitude. You can find a link to that book in the notes for today's show. One of the best ways to keep a journal, keep a garden journal. I do it. I know when plants are flowering, maybe they've put on a spurt of growth, when I planted, when I harvested. Also, look at flowers up close. I mean, really close, as they open, as they flourish, and as they decline. Because even though a flower may be declining, the seeds for the next generation are developing. So take a good close look at flowers. When you're looking at flowers, you're looking at the cycle of life. Feelings of gratitude is the perfect coping skill for our era when so much of life feels out of control. Gratitude gives us something we can change, our thoughts. We don't need good things to happen to us to be grateful. We need to reframe our thoughts about what has already happened. Irving Berlin, a long time ago, wrote a song called Count Your Blessings. And he wrote that song after his doctor recommended that he try counting his blessings as a way to deal with his stress-induced insomnia. Gratitude can make you realize that things are not nearly as bad as you make them out to be initially. Some people keeping a gratitude journal like to write down what they want to accomplish, like what is your big task for the day? What is your 90-day goal? What was your big win? What lessons did you learn? But one question is more important than all the others. It's what are you grateful for? Answers could be as simple as sunshine. Maybe you heard a bird chirp that you've never heard before, or maybe you had a pleasant long walk. Sometimes the answers are a little bit bigger. You're enjoying the slower pace of life. You're spending quality time with your wife and family. Maybe a new baby is on the way. You can get excited about that, that's for sure. Now the question is, how do you become grateful? It's kind of like anything else. Practice, practice, practice. Here are some tips in the article about how to be grateful. Prepare yourself. Spend time in nature. Spend time in your garden. Listen to relaxing music. Slow down and pay attention to your surroundings. Start in the right frame of mind because gratitude can't be forced. And we talked about the importance of keeping a gratitude journal. Write down things you're grateful for each day. Think of them as gifts. Reflect on your feelings and the depth of your gratitude. Writing things down helps you focus on the details and makes the feeling more tangible. And another way to keep that journal is take a lot of photographs. You probably have one in your phone. This may help you focus on your positive feelings longer. That photo seeks out experiences that make you feel grateful. When you take action, like taking a picture of a really nice looking plant, you're telling your brain that this really matters. And then the feeling gets highlighted by the brain circuitry instead of floating away like a random thought. Now, there are some things we can do as gardeners that will also enhance the feeling of gratitude. Find ways to use your strengths and talents to help others. We become more grateful when we become a giver rather than a receiver. See, all that zucchini that's going to be popping up in your yard here in a month or two? Giving away that extra zucchini can help you too. So there. And sometimes, you can think about the bad. Recall the worst times in your life, and that can make you grateful that you made it through. Grateful for what you learned in the process and how it made you stronger. I certainly had that happen to me back in 2012 when I had open heart surgery and recovered and am stronger than ever. Remember that gratitude is an attitude. It's not a feeling that can be easily willed. But by performing grateful motions, you may be able to trigger real gratitude. So get in the habit of smiling, saying thank you. In other words, just fake it till you make it. And think about the language you use too. Less grateful people are preoccupied with burdens, curses, deprivations, and complaints, and their words reflect that focus. Instead of saying that you have to do something, tell yourself you get to do something. Practice the 3 S's. The 3 S's, what's that? Well, be open to surprise each day. Surprise amplifies positive feelings. I like to think I have a surprise garden in the front yard. It's a popular walking area for neighbors. And I like to put plants way in the front that may look rather nondescript, but then for a couple of months, they are amazing in bloom. Plants like the red hot poker or the tower of jewels. And aromatic plants, too, like the banana shrub, the Magnolia figo. The Magnolia figo. It changed names. It just has this wonderful scent of what I like to say is juicy fruit gum every April and May. The other 2 S's, besides surprise, be specific. Dwell on the concrete ways in which you're supported and sustained by other people. And that scarcity, those empty shelves in the supermarket right now? Is there a benefit or a silver lining to that situation that you will not have in the future? Well, it certainly makes it easier to pick out cleaning products these days, or cuts of meat. Another good way to make yourself feel good is make someone else feel good by writing a letter. Even if you don't send the letter, you'll benefit because you have strengthened the brain's gratitude circuitry and activated the region of the brain that produces dopamine. Say thank you. Thank you increases gratitude. Especially thank the people you're living with right now. It'll make you both feel better. Thinking of happy memories increases your chances of increasing your gratitude. Happy memories increases the production of serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitter in your brain. And focus on the future. Things will change. May not get back to the normal we know, but we'll adjust. As I'm fond of saying, we are trees in the wind. We can bend. Think of reunions coming up. Imagine how good it'll feel to eat at your favorite restaurant or get back to your favorite hobby. This will help prevent you from taking things for granted in the future. So ask yourself that question every day. What am I grateful for today? And for gardeners, it's a pretty easy answer. Thanks for listening to the Garden Basics Podcast. I appreciate your support. Remember, you can subscribe to it wherever you get your podcasts. I love your comments. I appreciate you letting me into your ears.